vibes and I stood my ground. They will never ever take my crown. Oh, Jah bless, I say no man curse. Things getting better when they thought it would be worse.
Hi, good day, listening and viewing audience. Today, we, the members of the Business and Professional Women's Club, Training and Development Committee, will spend the next 30 minutes with you going through post-COVID lessons learned from managing your money and creating wealth. With me in the studio today is Dr. Jeune Guishard-Pine. Dr. Jeune Guishard-Pine is a doctor in psychology. She's the current chair of the BPW Training and Development Committee. She has been a member of BPW St. Kitts for the last 3 years. Her parents are from Lodge and Otleys, but she came from the UK and has been living in St. Kitts for the past 5 years, having retired from the National Health Service and University of Bedfordshire as a visiting professor of psychology. I'll now turn you over to her for some brief opening remarks.
Good morning to everybody. It's a very nice introduction. Thank you, Dawne. So I feel pleased to have in the studio with me Dawne E. Williams. And Dawne is a financial services professional who has practiced throughout the English-speaking Caribbean of the last 43 mighty years. In her career, her name is synonymous with Barclays, CIBC First Caribbean, and the SKNA National Bank Group of companies, and that's just naming a few. As an advocate for women and girls, she's responsible for and the first president of the Business and Professional Women's BPW 2013 Revitalize St. Kitts Club. And this club was initially started in 1975 under the presidency of Miss Pamela Wall. Miss Williams is currently the BPW Regional Coordinator that extends to Canada, USA, and across the whole Caribbean, and sits in the International Federation of Business and Professional Women's Board. Dawne will be your facilitator this morning for a session Beyond COVID, Tips on Managing Your Money and Creating Wealth. Over to you, Dawne.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jeune. So this morning, in 30 minutes, all I can do is give you some tips. But I wanted to take copious notes so that at the end of this, and when things come back to normal, or those of you who continue to work, you will really manage your money and start creating wealth if you have not yet started. So first, I'll define financial management, what it means. Then we'll go through understanding what your role is in managing your finances, and then some tips on becoming successful in managing your finances. First, we must always live a life of purpose. Dave Ramsey said, "Earning a lot of money is not the key to prosperity. It's how you handle it." And I thought that was a good place to start, because for so many of us, we feel that we can only create wealth and save if we work for a lot of money. But this is telling us that it's not earning a lot, it's how you handle it. So what is financial management? Financial management is no different to other forms of management, actually, because you need to plan your finances, you need to organize your finances, have to direct it in the right path, and you have to control your financial activities, and it's all within your realm. The second thing is you need to understand how you're going to utilize the funds that you earn. So it's really about applying general management principles to your financial resources. Debt. Everyone can choose how he or she uses what he or she earns. That natural tendency, though, is to spend as much as you can to own what you want. There are so many of us growing up aspiring to get to that point in our life when we can just get what we want. And so we think we're at this point, and so we just want to get what we want. That is fine, but you need to differentiate your needs from your wants. Retailers can overwhelm us with invitations to treat, so we must be strong. If you do not prioritize wisely, before you know it, you are deep in debt. Especially now that credit is so easy to come by with a credit card. But the only thing you would own at the end are consumer items. So when you're going to get in debt, be sure that your debt is good debt. Debt can either be an enabler or a form of slavery. If it is not properly managed, it can create havoc in your life. But if it is well managed, it can create wealth. And I think COVID has brought it home to us right home to us, because what happens when you lose your job? What happens if you get ill and you don't have health insurance, or the health insurance you have can't cover your illness, or for some other reason you need funds or must use all the funds you have? That is when you realize how important it is to have some away for what you call that rainy day. Debt, especially when it's unsecured, is really a form of slavery, and that is what is the bad debt. But debt to acquire assets, etc., is normally secured and really creates wealth, because at the end of that debt, you have something to hold on to. Each day that a debt remains unpaid, interest charges pile up, and over time, it's easy to see how the unchecked use of credit can erode your wealth and foreclose opportunities if not well managed. And some might be saying, oh my God, how can I change at this point? I'm too far gone. No, you're not. Because if you already have fallen into bad debt, it's not too late to climb out now. What I would say is meet with your financier, see how you can refinance what you have to be a little more financially able. Financially successful people live below their means, not above, but below. Because financial success is usually the result of many years of self-control. And that self-control discipline involves living within or below your means. Because if every dollar you earn is spent, then there's very little hope for you getting ahead. So you need to work on always keeping your expenses lower than your income. And that difference you must save or invest. Do not allow every increase in your income to mean an enhanced lifestyle immediately. Yes, eventually, but for some period, save that so that eventually you will have the enhanced lifestyle you always wanted to. Key tip for financial management is to pay yourself first. Learning to pay yourself first is the key and most important part of financial security. So what does that mean, paying yourself first? It means directing a percentage of your income, however small, into some sort of plan, whether it be a pension plan, an investment account, a savings account, whatever you choose. But you must take that out before your salary is deposited to your account. Why? This will avoid you having to constantly fight the temptation to spend every dollar. If it's not there, if you can't see it, if it's gone, you can't spend it. So when you automatically save and make saving an unwavering part of your routine, it puts the twin forces of time and compounding interest on your side. So I would admonish you to look for a savings account that pays the best rate, or invest in stocks and shares. There are times that you feel like you must get something no matter what. So you walk into a financial institution, you put your cards on the table, you're being truthful, and the institution says no. And you walk away from that institution and you say all sorts of bad things about the institution, including they are not here to help. The truth is, when financial institutions say no to you, they are helping you to live within your means. They are saying to you, you are not quite ready and not in the position to incur the debt that you are seeking. Please always take this as caution. Another tip for financial management is forget about keeping up with the Joneses. We live in an age when it's very easy to access some of the trappings of wealth in our society, but it's difficult to actually afford them. So we want to have these trappings because it makes us, we perceive it will make us wealthy. We perceive it will help us to keep up with the Joneses. So we create bad debt to actually get them, because we cannot afford them. So, for example, you're ready to buy a car. You want a new car, you want a big house, you want designer bags and clothes because you figure these might impress others. But these goods, while it's good to have, are very expensive and often mask high debt and a dangerous relationship with credit. Before you know it, you've racked your credit card up to the point where the monthly payment is only interest. And so it's like a noose around your neck. So I'm going to ask you today, please don't confuse easy access to credit with real wealth, because they are very different. Real wealth is usually the product of responsible spending, responsible borrowing, maximizing the value of every dollar, and sometimes we need to trade glamour for modesty and security. So I'm not saying you don't need to spend. Of course you need to spend, but it must be responsible. I'm not saying you don't need to borrow. Yes, you must borrow, but it must be responsible, and you must maximize the value of every dollar. And sometimes we just need to trade glamour for modesty and security. The truth is, your tag is in the back. So whether you bought your dress from Louis Vuitton store or you bought it from the Ross, it will look the same unless somebody closely examines it. The other thing you must do is save aggressively from a very early age and watch your savings grow over time. That's because saving is really a long-term proposition. Unless you come into some inheritance or you win some funds, etc., saving is a long-term proposition. So it doesn't matter how modest the amount is, starting the savings habit early pays off. A broader time horizon means more years to 1, benefit from the compounding interest, and 2, to refine your investment style. In financial management, one of the things that you must do is set clear financial goals. Commit them to paper if you must. But you must have set clear financial goals. You can have very broad ones, like, for example, I want to buy a house. I want to save for retirement. I want to ensure that all my bills are kept up to date. That's broad. But then, to really succeed financially, you must set specific goals. So, I want to buy a house. It's fine to shoot for buying a house. But what kind of house suits your income and your lifestyle? What kind of house can you afford? And that is the key. So you come right down to the specifics where you say, well, I'm working for X. The bank tells me I can get up to 45 or 50% of this salary to pay towards a mortgage. So this is the type of house that I can afford. What size of down payment will leave you with a comfortable mortgage? Because after you pay with a house come other expenses. Life insurance, house maintenance, annual fees, etc. So you must leave enough so that you could pay your mortgage and get all the other things that come with owning a house. So the answers to the questions will help you to make better defined goals that in turn can motivate you and help you make better informed financial decisions. Do not believe everything you hear about money. In recent times, everybody wants to get rich, and there are so many things coming on the internet to tell you how you can get rich quickly. There are the Ponzi schemes, and in our pursuit for getting rich, we get bought into these get rich quick schemes. If you really want to manage your finance and create wealth, please avoid the get rich quick schemes. Ignore those people who tell you that if you really want to be somebody, then you must purchase the nicest clothes, drive the flashiest cars, flash the best phones, etc. They tell you that is what will make you rich, that is what will make you happy, and that is what will make you admired. Don't believe that. Instead, learn from the experiences of those who have actually created wealth. Because to rise above the financial chaos, you must become a student of your personal finance and critically assess the information that's at your fingertips. It's so easy now to find out what's the best way to invest my money. And there's so many good investment opportunities out there. Start small. Sometimes you start with a savings. You say, okay, I'll put $50 a month. At the end of the year, you have $600. You got 2% on that. So you have your 600 plus your 2%. And you say, well, let me buy some shares on this. So you go to some institution, you buy some shares, and then that $600 that you bought in shares earns you 10% by the next year. So you see how it compounds and how it grows, and over time you just start to really create wealth. You must set your own spending limits and stick to them. Do your income and expenditure account. You know what you're recurring expenses are. You know what your one-off expenses are. So you do your spending limits, do your income and expenditure, and stick to them, because in life there are no shortages of companies trying to get you to spend. Don't become trapped. Analyze what for you is a good debt and what isn't. And you ask the question, will this help me to own an asset? Will I be better off financially when I'm through with these repayments? Don't allow anyone to set your personal spending ceiling. Instead, decide for yourself what you can afford and what you are comfortable with and what your priorities are. Remember, you are in charge of making your money, so you should decide how it gets spent. Don't allow anyone else to tell you how to spend it. Because if you don't take care of your money won't take care of you. Mac Duke, the strategist, said that. He also said that money grows on skills, not trees. So let us not be fooled. Let us not think that we'll go out there and just earn money. It does not happen like that. But sometimes our salaries really is not enough. So you can really embellish your income. So spend more time wisely and invest in yourself. Think about how you can embellish your income doing what you do well, what you love to do, and earn in the process. There's so many of us that are talented and we spend our time just wasting time. Let's turn this into real dollars and cents in pursuit of creating wealth. Because you might say, what I do from this pastime, this talent that I love, is what I'll put away to create some wealth. You also need to volunteer your time to a club, to an organization, assist a child in need. Help them to understand what life is all about and how, if they start early, how they can create wealth throughout their lifetime. As a people, we need to do continuous learning and use our spare time wisely, because the better qualified you are, usually you will earn more. And then exercise, because it's no good to create all this wealth for someone else. So you need to keep yourself fit and get in your exercise as well. I started with saying we must live a life of purpose. And I will end by saying we must live a life of purpose. And as we begin each day, we must begin it as if we were on purpose. So you say, what can I do today to ensure that I do not create debt that will be a noose around my neck? What can I do today to ensure that in working I save enough so that I can create some wealth and in the long term have something that I realize I work for? When I retire, can I look back and say, what have I done with my life? Financially, what have I done with my life? I've worked hard for the last how many years? What do I have to show? If you spend all your money on consumable items, you'll have nothing. But if you create assets and build wealth as you come along, you will look back and see what you've gained and earned over time. Because remember, you will reap what you sow. So start saving today and watch your money grow. Work on planning, organizing, directing, and controlling your financial activities in such a way as to create wealth. Be extremely careful how you use the funds you earn. And like every other part of your life, apply general management principles to your financial resources, remembering that your financier will always be there to provide the support you need once you seek it. And that's it for tips on managing your money and creating wealth. Thank you for your time, thank you for listening, and thank you for tuning in. I'll now turn you back over to our Chair Jeune, who will tell you a little more about our BPW Training and Development Committee. Over to you, Dr.
Thanks so
Jeune.
much, Dawne. I was transfixed and mesmerized. I didn't want to interrupt you because I knew you'd have a wealth of ideas to give to us. Very rich words. Thank you very much. What can I say about the BPW? I can say that the BPW, Business and Professional Women's Association, is now 101 years old. It was created in 1919. But when St. Kitts became viable for joining, it became the International Federation, which started 90 years ago. And we've recently had a celebration of that in August for the International Federation of the BPW. The Training and Development Committee is 100% committed to elevating the life chances for women and girls in the Federation, women and girls of all ages. We want to provide emotional support, practical support, and educational support and mentoring so that you can have the opportunities to grow and set the targets and achieve the goals that you and your family might want for you. That's very, very important to the work that we do. We hope that you will hear a lot more about us as we go along. I did not want to interrupt Dawne because I sometimes felt like a naughty child sitting on the naughty step, listening to all the things that I was doing wrong. I just wanted to ask Dawne, do you think when people say they find it difficult to save, is it a reason or is it an explanation? What do you think?
It is really an explanation. And there is really no reason why you can't save. Because my motto is, if you earn $1, save 10 cents.
Right.
Because you will drop 10 cents by the way and not even realize. So why not put it to good use?
Right. And I think the idea of accumulating wealth has been a very important part of what you were saying to us, that it happens over time. It's not something that happens from month to month necessarily.
No.
Something that I really gained from my parents telling me. And I think it's important that the parents that are listening do start to introduce to their children the idea of accumulating wealth, that you can start with saving $1 every month. In the UK, we called it piggy banks. I don't know what they call it here.
Yes.
But you can collect coins along the way as a child. And just to say a little bit more about the mission of the BPW, we want you to know that one of the main objectives of us is to develop leadership potential of women from all levels of life. And that is through advocacy, through education, mentoring, networking is a very important part of what we do, and skill building. And another important aspect of what we do, of course, is economic empowerment, which is what this morning has been all about. So thank you everybody for listening, and we hope you do actually take on board Dawne's wealth of experience and Dawne's wealth of advice and begin to change your lives, because that's what the BPW is about, is initiating life-changing programs for women and girls in the Federation. Thank you for listening again.
Thank you. Bye.
It's the Horsford's Independent Sales Drive for the months of September to October. Horsford's Automotive will be on their biggest sales drive for 2020. Come to Horsford's Automotive in the months of September